If you are a senator, you need to not sit in the back 2 rows. If you are a speaking visitor, you can sit in the front row. Otherwise, you won't be counted for quorum or votes.
Yeah, no, it'll be open. We're just, I'll go ahead and download them right now so that they're open in the background.
If you are a senator, please do not sit in the back 2 rows. If you are a senator, please do not sit in the back 2 rows. If you are a visitor, please sit in the back 2 rows unless you are speaking.
We'll keep working on the QR code for attendance, but I would like to go ahead and get started so we don't get too far behind schedule. I do have quorum. Excellent. All right, so welcome to the April 3rd meeting of the USC Faculty Senate. The minutes from the March 13th meeting are posted to the Senate website. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? Okay, now the minutes stand approved. At this time, I'd like to ask Provost Representative Vice Provost Marianne Fitzpatrick to report to the Senate and to also present the administration's response to the Senate resolution Statement of Principles of Academic Freedom and Free Expression, which, just as a reminder, we passed last April with a 1-year, with a request for certain policy changes and a request that the administration report back to us within a year of that April 5th, 2023 resolution. So, Marianne.
Good afternoon. I'm pleased to be here. Rather than present a report from the president or provost, I want to really spend my time talking about the issues that were brought to our attention about academic freedom. So on behalf of the president and the provost, I'm really delighted to give this report. The Office of the Provost manages the policy change process for the whole university. I'm going to go through the committee charge, the set of committee recommendations, and please note I am quoting very heavily from university policy and from your statements and recommendations, okay? First of all, the committee recommended that the University of South Carolina should adopt a statement of freedom of expression comparable to the Chicago Principles. But the committee did propose a more elaborate statement for consideration. The Board of Trustees carefully considered this proposed statements and the recommendations. Throughout the course of the year, finally on November 8th, 2023, the President and the Board of Trustees adopted UNIV 6.0, Freedom of Expression and Access to Campus. It outlines speech, expression, and access to campus for students, faculty members, staff members, and members of the public who are not part of teaching, research, or official functions of the university. The proposal, or 6.0, actually adopts the core principles articulated in the what we call the Chicago principles. The policy also states that the policies and procedures of our institution are interpreted in a manner consistent with First Amendment and Article 1, Section 2 of the Constitution of the state of South Carolina. The revised policy did not specifically define or include academic freedom, or which is a core discrepancy between what you had recommended and what occurred. The policy did not specify, but the fact that the policy talks about freedom to engage in debate and civil discourse around competing ideas does not imply that all expression is constitutionally protected on our campus. It very clearly states that incitement to violence or lawless actions, fighting words, true threats, obscenity, child exploitation as defined by law, and harassment are prohibited. But any university or community member who believes they've been subjected to harassment, discrimination, or sexual misconduct as a consequence of what's been occurring can file a complaint with the Office of Civil Rights and Title IX. Concerns that do not fall within this category can actually be discussed with administrators very openly about your concerns and your complaints about this. All right. You're also free to have, not to disrupt a session, but to have your own counter sessions or counter programming to the degree that you really would like to express a different opinion. I would be remiss if I didn't say to my faculty colleagues that events across the U.S. and throughout in South Carolina and throughout the South since the constitution of this committee in 2021 have sharpened our awareness of the importance of defending not only freedom of expression, but academic freedom. But there have been two recent consequential steps that have been taken by the university to defend this core commitment. The first and most consequential movement, in my estimation, is the revision of the faculty manual. The 2023 manual clearly states the university adheres in principles to the 1940 Statement of Principles on Academic Freedom and Tenure of the American Association of University Professors, as well as the 1970s interpreted remarks. The statement goes on to affirm that the university shall defend academic freedom against any encroachment. It also says very clearly, when faculty members speak or write as citizens, they shall be free from institutional censorship or discipline. They shall indicate that they are not speaking for the university. We all seem to agree on that. But the protection of academic freedom and the requirements of academic responsibility apply to all faculty, including part-time faculty and teaching assistants. So our staff who are teaching for us in some of our programs have protections of academic freedom surrounding the fact that they are teaching within that context. These principles adhere to our role as professors, as teachers, okay? And of course, if your academic freedom has been compromised, you can apply to a faculty grievance committee. It used to be in the previous faculty manual, the things I know, it used to be in a previous faculty manual, you would apply to the president of the university and an investigation would have been conducted about that. But now it falls within another purview. Okay. I reference the faculty manual because it's important to remember the changes in our faculty manual are not approved. They are until they are vetted by the Office of General Counsel, the Office of the President, and most importantly, the Board of Trustees. The faculty manual is the governing document, okay, that specifies the relationship between the university and the faculty. So it has been approved by the Board of Trustees. And more importantly, something that I think we don't realize, I realize, we have a policy, UNIV 1, the policy on policies. And this clearly states that in the event of any inconsistency between the faculty manual and policies and procedures manual, the faculty manual is the final authority. Okay, and so it is extremely important, the work that you do, the work that you're thinking of doing in revising the faculty manual, this has been, our commitments have been enshrined. It's not that our manual is perfect, but I think that's an important thing to remind us of. Now, I'm going to go through some of what was suggested, was recommended, has already been taken care of, and some of it has not actually been handled, or perhaps handled in the way that you would prefer. So the workplace, in the document that I received, it was referenced as the workplace bullying policy. We now refer to the policy as the faculty workplace incivility policy. We now have language about academic freedom in that policy. And also, I'm consistently going through our policies and attaching the faculty manual to the policies, okay? Because I think that reinforces our commitment to academic freedom and its suggestion. It's not suggestion, it's very clear set of principles that we've established. Athletics. Your document said, rightly so, student athletes retain all of the academic freedom rights of students. And so the request was to put your version of UNIV 6.0 attached to it. I did attach UNIV 6.0 to the athletics policy, as well as the student policy, the student affairs policy 6.28, which really is another important policy that actually specifies freedom of speech and academic rights of students. This was passed by the Faculty Senate, by the Student Senate. This was also approved by the Board of Trustees of the university. So it tightens that link, and I think that's a very good idea. Communications. The communications media relations policy sends a chill, I think, when people read this policy in the current environment, that there's a request that you notify the communications office if you're making public statements, you're writing op-ed pieces, and actually they'll help you write op-ed pieces and help you do the form of op-ed pieces under certain circumstances. However, there is a concern. The faculty manual clearly states, when you speak or write as citizens, you are fully within your rights, and we will not censor or discipline you for these statements. However, we will put in, I have not done it yet, we will put into the policy, this has been agreed by the communication staff, that we'll put that language clearly in the policy. And we will say, when faculty members speak or write as citizens, they shall be free from institutional interference. We'll make sure that's in the policy. It is our policy, but we'll reinforce that in the communications policy. The fourth thing that you asked for was statements concerning academic freedom in all of our EOP policies. All of the EOP policies have been revised. We had 6 of them. We now have 2 under the civil rights designation. And so EOP 102, 103, and 106 have been revised as CR1, Policy Against Discrimination, Harassment, and Sexual Misconduct. This is 31 pages of policy, numerous attachments, numerous documents, and we have been, and I have ensured that the faculty manual, as well as the statement about academic freedom, is appended. It's not in the policy, but it's attended as a related document that must be taken into account. The second one is equal opportunity and affirmative action, and I took no action on behalf of the policy group. Human resources. This is a much more complicated area. The recommendation that was made by the faculty committee to the administration expressed a deep concern that there was a differentiation across 3 or 4 policies about the concept of conflict of commitment and conflict of interest. In particular, there was concern about the research policy on conflict of interest, okay? The research policy on conflict of interest is trying to deal following federal regulations, actually, trying to deal with situations in which faculty are working on government grants but have a private operation that they've set up, or they're really doing research for a corporation and they're being funded by a corporation. You know, as people who are actively involved in publishing, you need to make statements about any potential conflict of interest you might have. You need to talk about who supported the research and what the funding is. But this is the phrasing of this in the research policy is slightly different, but they're deeply concerned about any kind of conflict that might occur as a consequence between your research and funding you might be receiving from other sources or research funding. We do this on a regular basis. There is a faculty committee that reviews plans that are developed. We do not say you cannot do things. We work out plans in which we kind of specify how we're going to handle this particular conflict of interest. All right, it's a faculty committee. It has some administration, but I think I was a dean who used to serve on this committee, but they have one dean and faculty. And so this is part of our ongoing process. The other policies, the policy in HR and the policy in the faculty policy are things that we have to develop as a state agency. Conflict of commitment, all right, the form that you fill out as faculty every year, your and all of you fill it out because I have a list of who hasn't, all right, and it's very elaborate. And it has a lot of things you're supposed to read, and you're supposed to check you've read all these things, all right? What's conflict of commitment? Basically, we're allowed to consult, but you can't have another outside job, all right? Or at least you can't have another outside job unless it's really been very carefully declared, discussed, and talked about, all right? This is really part of our obligation as a state agency and part of a sense of ethics of what we're doing. So is what you're doing externally in conflict with your obligations as a faculty member, all right? And conflict of interest has to do with you operating as a member of our faculty, and perhaps you're on a purchasing team, or perhaps you actually have the responsibility for making a decision. You're employing your spouse on a grant. It is not that you can't employ your spouse on a grant, but you need to declare this. We need to have a very clear sense of you need to defend why it's your spouse and not my spouse, all right? And we also need to have a management plan in place. So none of these things are saying you cannot. They're saying we need to declare a conflict of commitment. That's why you fill out that form every year. We need to declare conflicts of interest, and then we have to really develop plans on how we handle them. Okay, so that was the one place when I was reading your requests where I couldn't see, it has nothing to do with stopping you from testifying. We have all these other policies that say that. We have all these other approaches that say that. And we do ask you to notify us, are you being paid or are you not being paid for what you're doing? All right, so that could be, I think it says somewhere in the policy, if you're giving testimony, are you being paid as an expert witness? We would never, it has never happened that we'd stop you from doing that, but we really need to know what's going on so we have a sense of that process, all right? So the final section, this was number 5, libraries. There was a deep concern in this that the library policies, which really have very little to do, there are very few policies actually. And the concern on the part of this group was that non-faculty librarians should be protected by academic freedom stipulations. Staff are not protected by academic freedom stipulations, but it's important to know our library has 50 faculty members. Okay, a majority of whom are tenured faculty members, all right? Unlike many university libraries, and they have very few professional track faculty actually, but professional track faculty are also covered. They're faculty. The manual is very clear about that, Okay. We've said that academic freedom obtains to part-time faculty. You know, it obtains to faculty. And so we made no move forward. It says that we need to support academic freedom for all librarians. The librarians are, for the most part, we have tenured faculty in the library school. Academic freedom does not extend to staff. Okay. And if you read the AAUP and if you read the guidelines, it really has to do with teaching. It has to do with who we are as professors and things. Okay. So I have been in consultation with the leadership in the library. This is really a very strong position that they hold. Again, number 7 and 8 were change UNIV 6.0, you know, the issue that I started with, and the final one was change the faculty manual. So I think in the past couple years, together we've made great strides, and the faculty manual is the most important document across all of these areas. Okay. It's enshrined in our policy as the most important document. It's approved by the Board of Trustees as it's vetted by the attorneys. It's talked about in here for many hours. Okay. And so I think that we're certainly welcome to, I'm welcome to answer questions. I'm welcome to whatever you would like. And sure. Yes. Somebody? Is there a question on the laptop?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. I wanted to go through everything that you had brought up because I think these are extremely important issues, and this is a very difficult time. Do I acknowledge the questions, or do
I'll
you?
take care of that.
You do.
If you have any questions, yeah, please approach the podium and identify yourself before asking your question. And also the QR code, as you can see, I'm putting up. So please log in if you haven't done that.
George Cush, Department of Philosophy. I first thank you. Very helpful review of all the areas that were addressed. One point, just for greater clarification, related to not extending the free expression to faculty. It seemed there were 2 points. One was to fully do that, it needs to be by means of the revision of the faculty manual. And that's, so
Vice Provost, would you mind using the mic? Because we do have people attending online. I know you would. You can actually take it with you, I think.
so, and that may be,
Oh, it's got one for you. You can use that one, and that way you can walk around and.
Thank you. Thank
and
you.
that may
Yes.
be a confusion on the initial part when you were talking about the UNIV
Yes.
revisions.
Yes.
And that it was not, the faculty were not included in the extension of that in the revision.
I was not clear. The faculty had asked for a definition of academic freedom in that policy, okay? And they wanted a very extensive description of academic freedom. The policy has to do with the free expression of ideas, okay? And academic freedom was not included in that policy in the way that you would like. You're not happy about that, I understand. But we have protection, you have protections as a citizen. You have First Amendment rights as a citizen. You don't lose your citizenship as a faculty member. You don't lose your ability to make statements as a citizen, okay? But academic freedom is enshrined in the faculty manual. And that is, I think, the most important place because it trumps everything else. Okay. That's part of what I was trying to say, George. Yeah.
Then the brief follow-up. So I was, it was in the context of what was and was not done regarding the request. And I was just trying to get clarity regarding what was not done and why it was not done. And it seemed one aspect was procedural. There are aspects in how it would be done that, you know, there are other ways this is addressed.
Accomplished.
Didn't require it to be explicitly addressed. And then it seemed there were potentially some reasons why it might not be done that were tied to other types of concerns. And it was a question about what were other reasons.
Oh,
right,
okay.
that were
I can
in
be,
the
there was,
background that
sure.
were not
Sure.
doing it as it was requested.
Certainly, because first of all, this is a policy that concerns everyone who is coming here, okay? And this is a policy that has to do with our defense of freedom of expression, the First Amendment, and our constitutional things. As I recall, the faculty wanted academic freedom, the report wanted academic freedom, a description of academic freedom, and it said, we will not allow any state agency or any state government agency to prescribe our, well, we're a state agency, okay? We can't assert that in our policy. We can protect the faculty through the faculty manual, the definition of the employment relationship between this university and our faculty. That we can do, okay? And so I think that was really, so it's threading a needle, you know, it really is threading a needle. And it's saying, all right, we're going to protect and it's important to know, everybody, what's the phrase, doesn't attack the university, but a lot of people push to come here to say things knowing they will be problematic, okay? I mean, this is a very complicated area because you're watched as a public institution on these things. Stanford can refuse to have people come. You know, now the faculty might carry on about that, but you can close private institutions in the way you can. So that was the statement in particular, George. I'm not trying to hide anything from my colleagues, and it's just, yeah. So it's not exactly what you wanted, but I think the other actions that were taken are really very positive. Sir.
Mayor Muller, College of Education. Asking for a friend, can you clarify your statement of holding two full-time positions is problematic unless it's vetted?
No, it's problematic.
So I thought there was a second.
No, I beg
Okay.
but when you're talking about conflict of commitment, can you really exercise your duties to the university in your role, you know, as a faculty member, staff member, and then handle this other position? We follow general print. You can consult, people can do, you know, obviously we have, and for many of us consult, not me, who wants to hire me, but for many of us, consulting is an important part of what we do, and it enriches our experience here. No, you cannot hold another full-time position. Sorry,
Okay.
sir. Yeah, sorry. I speak too fast and too, oh no, here it comes. Now I'm going to be now he's going to go back and say you're wrong.
Sorry, Mark Minette, faculty.
I know who you are.
From English. I just wanted to get some extra clarity. In reference to non-academic and the recommendations for non-faculty
Yes.
appointments in the libraries.
Yeah.
Because I believe the draft resolution that asked for this report, when it referred to library policies in relation to non-faculty appointments, it was about policies affirming the freedom of expression as opposed to academic freedom of library employees.
It doesn't matter. The issue is everyone has First Amendment rights to express their opinion.
Right.
Okay. The issue that we all agree on is when you're exercising your First Amendment rights, you need to be clear you're not speaking for the University of South Carolina, Mark. But that's not how I read the thing. And asserting through every possible area that we have First Amendment rights. I mean, we're citizens of the United States. No one is questioning that. It's the issue that you have to be clear that you're not speaking on behalf of the university, but the faculty policy says that everyone agrees. So what did I miss in that?
So I went back to the freedom, the report from the the Committee on Freedom of Expression, because it phrases it a little differently than what was in the resolution.
Okay, freedom of expression.
Library policies include no mention of academic freedom or freedom of expression, and the committee is particularly concerned about non-faculty librarians whose employment is not governed by the faculty manual.
I read that as academic freedom.
Yeah,
They don't have academic freedom.
right. So I think the particular concern about non-faculty librarians is understood, that they don't have academic freedom that resides in faculty, but the freedom of expression. I take your point that we all have First Amendment rights, but sometimes we do feel limited, right, in exercising our responsibilities at the university by administratively expressed concerns about what, as you said, what makes the university, what might open up the university to scrutiny. And so I guess I'm doing a little bit of mind reading because I wasn't on the committee, but librarians are under attack across the country right now for exercising their First Amendment rights and making sure everybody has access to the freedom to read. So I think the idea is that if you put in policy that non-faculty librarians who don't have don't have the rights afforded to them by academic freedom have the rights of freedom of expression, it gives them some confidence in not self-censoring, right? And engaging with the public and students.
Well, once you start that, do we go through every possible category of everything and say that you're citizens? In other words, we can have a larger conversation about this. All right. I read that as academic freedom.
Yeah.
Right. Not freedom of expression. I read it as academic freedom. And the faculty in that unit, the 50 faculty in that unit, have all the rights and privileges that all of us do vis-a-vis academic freedom to speak about their area of expertise and what they're doing. I think there are no professional Trek faculty in the library, but they are faculty, so they would have the same thing. So I will certainly take that back and think about it. But
I get your point that we all have the rights. I think the idea is might there be exceptional circumstances in which there is a kind of pressure on a certain group where there is a benefit to asserting those rights explicitly, as opposed to kind of all the different places you could. There are specific, and my understanding of the committee's report is that they thought that would be an appropriate.
Okay, that was
to make
not
it explicit.
what I had taken it to be academic freedom. I certainly will look at that again. If there's a larger report that I've missed, I'd be happy to look at it.
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah, I'm always happy to have conversations about these things.
And just the follow on another point. Sorry.
No.
The conflict of commitment that we've been talking about. I think the concern is perhaps that the university has its goals, right?
Sure.
And a faculty member might give a presentation, right? That might be seen as in conflict with, say, the executives of the university.
That's not what conflict of commitment concerns.
Okay.
Again, that is your right. In other words, I understand why reading these things with this point of view is disturbing, but these have very different meanings. The conflict of commitment has to do with outside employment, paid or unpaid outside kind of activities that might interfere with your core duties, your core job. Okay. So that's what that refers to, not you're making statements that conflict with what the university wants. You're not allowed to speak for the university. So we say he's not speaking for the university.
Right.
Okay. And we all kind of agree on that. Yeah.
Yeah, or the state. I mean, it's something that's definitely come up in the courts recently about the status of a faculty member at a public university. And I think
I'd be happy to look at this, but I have been here a number of years. This is a policy, a process, something we go through now, ladies and gentlemen, we are a state agency. Okay, we are a state agency. We spend a lot of time lobbying to present our point of view, to really have them understand who we are and what we're trying. But we are a state agency. Okay, and so if there's some state law that says X, we have a problem. We do everything we can not to have that happen. Right. But yeah, that is a problem. And anything we say here probably doesn't matter, you know? Yeah, but I'm happy to talk about this. If I've misconstrued or misunderstood, I'm happy to look at that.
Yeah, and thank you again for.
No, thank you. Thank you. Keep working on that faculty manual. Oh, Marco.
Marco Valtorta, Computer Science and Engineering. Vice Provost Fitzpatrick, thank you for the exhaustive answers. I have a small question of detail and about conflict of commitment. What happens if you are on leave, either sabbatical or unpaid leave, and you take up a job?
Mm-hmm.
Is this something that is viewed as a conflict, a potential conflict of commitment?
You're on an unpaid leave and you take up a job. I think you're always safer just disclosing that. Okay. But you are not, this happens where people go and they want to do a consulting job of a certain period of time. You are not employed by us at that point. You're on a leave without pay, and you're doing, your leave without pay has to be approved. And so there has to be some justification for why you would be taking a leave without pay. That's perfectly legitimate. I mean, people do this, in professional school. Sometimes they want to go and work somewhere for a period of time. To preserve your job, you would want to leave without pay, in which you'd write a justification for that. So sure, that's really, there are just many situations that occur that I would rather not talk about in public, where it's good to have a conflict of commitment policy, because we have a lot of freedom to come and go and do what we please, but that does not mean that we do not have a core set of responsibilities to this place. And what was your other example?
That's it.
No,
Thank you.
no, you're fine.
Any further questions for the Vice Provost?
Thank you. Feel free to reach out to me and continue the conversation if you'd like. I don't know about this court case that Mark mentioned, but and I'm not naive about how concerned we all are about this. It's my dream to go back to the faculty as soon as possible, actually, but as soon as I can, actually. But I do think you've really taken all the right steps. We're really moving in the right way. And more power to you, I say.
Thank you. Okay, does anyone still need the QR code? Because I'm going to switch back to the agenda if you haven't. Okay, I see one or two more. Okay. Marianne, I think you grabbed my documents off the podium too. That's right, trying to shut us down. I can see. Okay. At this time, I'd like to invite the speaker-elect of the speaker, because they're now confirmed. The speaker of the Student Senate, Mara Hamilton, and she will be followed by the president of the student body, Patton Byers, and I've asked them to just briefly address and introduce themselves to the Faculty Senate.
Different spot. Good to know, because I'll be in here doing Student Senate in 2 hours. Hello, everyone. So as he said, my name is Maura Hamilton. I'm the current speaker of the Student Senate. We were inaugurated about 2 weeks ago now, so I'm very excited to get started to work. A little bit about me. I am an out-of-state student. I'm from a small town in New Jersey just outside of New York City. And outside of student government, I am a nursing student. I'm in our honors college. I'm on the executive board of a sorority, and I also work in our Office of Undergraduate Admissions, which means that I basically just don't sleep. But I digress. I do represent a large number of our student groups and our student populations on campus, and I'm very passionate about advocating for all of them. So as in the name, my job as Speaker of the Student Senate is to preside over our Student Senate. There are 50 spots in it. We represent all of our undergraduate colleges, as well as a delegation from Carolina Life, and we also have a delegation from our Joseph F. Rice School of Law. We're currently looking for senators from the colleges of Education, Social Work, and HRSM. So if you are a faculty member in one of those colleges and you know any passionate students, please direct them our way, because we do have an application open for vacant seats. I just want to start this off by saying thank you. I know as well as anyone that sometimes being a part of this servant leader body can be a thankless job. And I really do appreciate that you guys make this time sacrifice to better our Carolina community. And I have a lot of respect for it. It does take a lot out of you sometimes. And I just am very thankful for that. When I was running for Speaker of the Senate, a good relationship with Faculty Senate is something that I ran on and I'm very passionate about. I grew up surrounded by college professors growing up, so I'm very well aware of like the amount of work it takes for you guys to really give back to your students. And I'm also aware of the rights you guys have within academia. I know in the past there has been some conflict between Faculty and Student Senate just on what they want, but I want to make sure that this year Student Senate especially is respectful of the rights that you have, and we can work together to find feasible solutions to academic issues on campus instead of just kind of going back and forth. Main purpose of this was just if you had anything pressing that you wanted to bring to my attention, and also just know that Student Senate is here to support you guys. If you ever feel like you need a student's opinion on an issue on campus, or if you feel like you need some backup from Student Senate, like please feel free to reach out and I can definitely connect you with senators that are passionate about the issues that you may be passionate about. I'm the only Maura Hamilton on campus, so if you ever feel the need to email me, just type Maura Hamilton into Outlook and I'll be the only person who comes up. But that's basically it. If anyone has any questions or comments for me, I'd be happy to answer them now, or you can, as always, email me. So thank you so much.
Cool. Everyone can hear me good? Awesome. Very energetic body. I love that. It's awesome. It's exciting to see this energy. I get it. It's 3 o'clock on a Wednesday, right? Anyway, it's an honor to be here today at Faculty Senate. My name is Patton Byers. I'm the new student body president. Like Maura said, we were inaugurated literally 2 weeks ago to the minute, about so actually. I'm a junior from Lexington, South Carolina, born and raised. Have loved South Carolina. I only applied to South Carolina as well. So excited to be here as well. And this is really, truly a dream come true. One thing about student body president is I plan to listen to faculty. I want to hear about your experiences and see how we can find some commonalities in order to make this university truly the best it can be. Like Maura said, I understand the hard work each of you do. My grandfather was a college professor and a dean of a college at Converse University. Higher education has always been important to my family. 3 of my biggest advocacy points are creating a 21st century learning environment and living environment through better housing and infrastructure in classrooms like Wi-Fi. I care about safety on campus and ensuring everyone, not just students, are safe and feel safe on campus. I also care deeply about the student experience. I want to build off of the best first-year experience and make it the best 4-year experience. I know through each of my objectives, they will affect faculty in some way. Because of that, I'm eager to meet with all of you, hear you, and collaborate with you. Together, we can and will solidify USC as the best university in the nation for students and faculty alike. I look forward to a great year of partnership between the 2 organizations, and I'm eager to get started. I'll yield to questions.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you both again for coming and talking to us. And I will say, I feel like the past year we've had a really productive relationship with student government. Amy Thompson, the outgoing president, has been very engaged with Faculty Senate, and there have actually been times when they've had our back, such as on the Barnes & Noble program that was proposed. So we appreciate that. Okay, moving on, I'd now like to ask, we're moving on to reports of faculty committees. I'd now like to ask Committee on Courses and Curricula to present their report.
Before we present, we have one small adjustment. There was a typo that was noted by one of the faculty senators on page 3. It's a pretty obvious one. It should not be CSCE 240 of CSCE 106 as a prerequisite. It should be or. And so the of should be an or. So without objection, I'd like to proceed with everything else with that. Without objection.
Right. Yeah, I think the committee moves to.
Okay, the committee moves. Okay. The Committee of Curriculum and Courses brings forward 12 proposals. 2 from the College of Arts and Sciences, 1 from the School of Music, 4 from the Darla Moore School of Business, 3 from the College of Engineering and Computing, 1 from the College of Hospitality, Retail, and Sport Management, and 1 from the College of Information and Communications.
The motion from committee so does not require a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor signify by aye. All those opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you. At this time, I would like to ask if there is no objection, that we include in the agenda. In addition, I've asked the INDEV committee, Instructional Development Committee, with help from IT if necessary, to give us an update on the Blackboard Ultra Course View transition status for the campus, because they've been heavily involved working, I guess, with, in opposition to, no, mostly with, I think, the administration trying to make this happen. So Mark, you want me to pull up the PowerPoint?
Everybody hear me? Yeah, okay. Thanks for your time. What I'm going to be doing is just presenting some slides that were prepared by IT and e-learning services to kind of run you through some of the developments with our learning management software, Zoom, and some new policies that are put in place in response to some regulations by the federal government. Speaking of the feds. There we go. Okay, great. Okay. So first, as most of you hopefully know, we're going to be transitioning to Ultra Course View. The new course shells are up, I think, for the fall semester, made in Ultra Course View. Some important LMS dates here. Friday, March 15th, 2024. Zoom replaces Collaborate in summer 2024 courses. Student attendance quiz pilot. I think those are Zoom. We'll get to Zoom and we'll get to the student attendance quiz here. The week of March 25th, Zoom LTI tool available in Blackboard, and more on that to come. But you should be able to find Zoom in Blackboard as under, I think, books and tools if you're using Ultra Course View, or under the LTIs in original. Friday, March 29th, 2024, fall 2024 course shells are available in Blackboard, and they'll be in Ultra Course View. There is a Buford exception. This is the system-wide transition, so it's having to be phased a little bit. We'll get to the student attendance quiz. May 15th, Collaborate will be made unavailable in Blackboard. So Collaborate recordings from spring 2024 were going to be archived by e-learning services, and then Collaborate recordings from August 2020 to May 2024 will be archived for 1 year, and the guidance on that is to move them to Panopto. If you're familiar with that, that's another LTI, or learning tool instrument, let's say. And July 2024, we're going to be renewing our contract with Blackboard. I don't have much information about that, other than my understanding is we negotiated the shortest term possible because we are conducting the LMS assessment. More on that. Because of the transition to Ultra Course View, and I encourage you to kind of puzzle over the formatting there after you download it from the Faculty Senate webpage under the agenda where this PowerPoint is housed. There are a lot of Ultra Course View training opportunities coming up, and we encourage you to take advantage of them, really do, because it will be confusing. I converted my courses this semester, and I'm still somewhat confused about some areas, but there is support, and more on the support. Ultra Course View training offerings in spring 2024, and then the e-learning services is open, and CTE to providing training at departmental meetings as well. So if you want training, just reach out, and it's there. It'll be there for you. And if you find that you're not getting enough access to resources, you can contact me, the Instructional Development Committee, and Rhiannon Meyer at e-learning services. All right. Zoom is going to be implemented. Sometimes this gets applause when it's talked about. There you go. So the single sign-on should have gone live on Thursday, 3/28. There are some problems, like I tried to log into Zoom through the LTI and it didn't work for me. So they're working through those. If you find that you can't log into Zoom, single sign-on means it's the same credentials you use to log into Blackboard and Outlook. So if you find that you're having trouble, submit a ticket. Okay. And if that doesn't satisfy you, feel free to reach out to me as well, and in-depth. Zoom account provisioning, that's when provisioning is when your Zoom account gets assigned and should be working, is underway. Zoom account consolidation, working with Zoom technical team, Zoom user training coming soon, April 11th, and Blackboard Ultra Course View 101 training. Right, so if you go to the Ultra Course View 101 training, there should be a Zoom training component to that. Zoom tool is available to you now. If you want to add it to your course content for this semester, you need to add it manually. It should be part of your course content for the fall semester, though. Right now, they're going through and making sure that it's in all the shells, and that's a process that will take some time. So here, I may need some assistance, but we've got what we call a Title IV attendance mandate hitting us, which is that the federal government wants to make sure they're spending your money properly on student financial aid, and that students who receive financial aid are actually participating in the classes. So the university has to conform to this regulation, and the way in which we're doing that is described here. And you should have all received an email about this, a communication from the university. Essentially, if you use Blackboard regularly, and within the first 2 weeks of your courses, you have assignments, you have discussion boards in which students participate. If they participate in those, they are marked as participating for the purposes of this regulation. So we have to provide evidence that they're participating. If you don't assign assignments in Blackboard, keeping track of attendance in Blackboard, ironically, will not meet this requirement because it's not linked to Banner. So we need things that are linked to Banner, which is what we use to report to the federal government. Am I correct about that, Registrar's Office? Yes. Okay, good. So what will be preloaded into everyone's Blackboard course is an attendance quiz for all students in the course to take. So say you only keep readings, right, in Blackboard for your students. As long as they go in there, they'll be prompted to participate in a Blackboard attendance quiz. They participate in that once during, I think, the first 2 weeks of the semester, and they're marked as participating for the purposes of the regulation. If you don't use Blackboard, you can go into Banner, and you will need to, within the first 2 weeks of the semester, for regular of the semester for the regular semesters, and there's a shorter time period, I think, for summer courses or shorter courses, non-full semester courses. You'll need to go into Banner and mark attendance for your students there. Did I leave anything out of that system that's in place? Okay.
A nuance that I thought I understood. So is my understanding, so every course has a Blackboard page created for it, regardless of whether faculty use it or not. Is that okay? And the second part of my question is, my understanding is that basically students were going to be directly contacted and told to go to the Blackboard page for their course and to do this quiz, like without any faculty involvement in that was going to come from the registrar. Is that correct? Yeah. Do you want to come up, Aaron, or you can, yeah, right there.
I'll just say,
please could you introduce yourself as well? Yeah.
Aaron Martyr, University Registrar. Thanks for having me. We would encourage faculty, of course, to tell students about the quiz and have them do it. It's worth no value. It's just a quiz that's right there in the nav bar. But yes, this gives, by putting this out there, it gives the financial aid office the ability to contact Title IV aid recipients directly and say, you need to go do this, in your class to be eligible for the aid. So yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for that. Sure. About the okay.
Hi, Alex Reynolds, psychology. At my previous institution, this was something that we had to do all the time, but we had to report not only within the first time period, but also the last time that they participated in the class. So for example, at the end of the semester, if you had a student that disappeared midway through, we would have to report the last time they attended class because we all had to take attendance, regardless if we used it or not. We just need to take it for financial aid purposes. Do you foresee that possibly being something that we're going to have to do in the future?
I'll leave that to the registrar's office. Yeah.
Aaron Martin, University Registrar. No, we're not, we don't foresee moving to like last day of attendance for this. We'll be using the grade of F never attended or stopped attending. You can add that last date there. We're also using the withdrawal grades as the last date of attendance.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Great. I'm Chaz Evans, School of Visual Art and Design. First, I'll say I like Blackboard UltraView a lot. I think it works well, and maybe I have an unfair advantage because I started with the UltraView instead of having to convert classes. But I say that because my second comment is that I don't know if anyone else has tried the UltraView mobile app, but it's just functionally not a workable software product.
Okay.
So especially if there's a conversation down the line about renewing the contract with Blackboard, I would recommend that we request that that be re-engineered to actually work in some fashion. Thank you.
Thanks, Chaz. So not a question, but a comment. Yeah. Okay. Nothing great. But I will share I'll share both pieces of information, and I'll wait a little bit after I share the first piece, which says Ultra Course View. You like it before I break the news about the mobile app to e-learning services. Yeah.
Hi, Stephanie Ackerson, Biological Sciences. This is more of a comment that I've noticed that is a common mistake with Blackboard Ultra. If this attendance is already being put in automatically, from what I understand, yes, the students will get a reminder to do it, and that's all on them. But anytime you put something new in Blackboard Ultra, it's automatically hidden from students. So I just want to ask the senators to remind their cohort, whatever, that they have to make sure to go through and make sure it's unhidden from the students so that they can actually participate.
Do you know if it's going to be if when it's loaded in they've made it viewable or hidden? That level of granularity.
How I've seen it, it's viewable to the student, but it would be good if we double check that.
Yeah, because anytime you put anything in Blackboard, it's automatically hidden from students.
Yeah, we'll just make sure that they note that. I know that they preload several things into the content area, and usually they're pretty good. But we'll double check on that.
Well, this is more of a statement. Yannis Reklitis. Yeah, I just started. Yannis Reklitis from Computer Science and Engineering. And I was under the mistaken impression that we are dealing with adults and it's their choice to get into class or not get into class. To be kindergarten teachers that herding the kids and checking out for attendances looks like a big step backwards. And I find it ridiculous, but what can I say? It seems that this is from the federal government, not even local. So, well, I guess let's see when the student's going to be considered responsible. Thanks.
Sure. Thank you for the comment.
I'm identifying myself as Sarah Carroll. I'm with the Faculty Senate IT Committee. And I would just like to add to this that we are not generally enforcing tracking of student attendance here. It's really just for the first 2 weeks and for financial aid purposes. I'm also not a fan of treating students like they are children or kindergartners. So it's really, we should not misunderstand that policy. It's really just the first 2 weeks of the semester. They have to go in once and verify that they are attendant in the class. And after that, as far as I can see, we don't have to add anything. So that's just.
That's my understanding as well. Anything else on the attendance? Okay, and there you should expect more communication about this as well. There'll be a stream of communication for you to capture. Okay, so May 15th, 2024, Collaborate will be made unavailable in Blackboard. So this is the Collaborate update. Summer semester starts May 1st, 2024, so a small overlap with Collaborate and Zoom both being active. And again, that information about Collaborate recordings being archived. So faculty start migrating all Collaborate recordings to Panopto now. Just out of curiosity, how many of you know what Panopto is? All right, okay, so I'm gonna write down there's work to be done on Panopto. I know, okay. Panopto. All right, so this is important. The LMS Assessment Committee, consisting of faculty and administrators from across the USC system, jointly between the Senate and the Provost's office, has been meeting. We have developed a survey implement that has been deployed. So you may have seen it when you log into Blackboard. It's there on the landing page. Chances are that your eye immediately goes to your courses and you select that and you don't actually read the information. But I want to encourage you to take a look, click on the survey and take it. There are different streams for students, faculty, and staff, but it's the same link for everybody. And this allows us to gather information about what faculty priorities and experiences are as we move forward with developing a recommendation for the next long-term LMS contract, whether it be with Anthology, that is Blackboard, or another company. So the survey link is in the PowerPoint slide. It's also should be on your landing page in Blackboard. You can look for communication from the university that goes out to everybody, I think next week in relation to that. But we are interested and do want the feedback and thoughts from the faculty. So I encourage everybody to complete that. And then just to reinforce, there's a long list of resources for the transition to Ultra Course View available to faculty. So take a look at the PowerPoint presentation, click on the links there. It's go.sc.edu/ultra is the landing page for that. The survey is also linked to at the bottom of that website as well. So I think that's it, probably too long. Happy to take any more questions.
Eric Docksetter from English. Sort of a request, I suppose. I don't know what Panopto is, and I'm not sure that I care. But I do know that it's a derivation of the word panoptic, and that the panopticon was theorized by Bentham as a building of surveillance, in which all the inmates could be seen all of the time. I would like to know what kinds of administrative tools come with this particular LMS and the ways in which the faculty and their work on this platform is used by administrators or by the company. I believe there is a case to be made that this particular platform violates EU privacy standards. That argument has been made to me by a number of faculty members, and I'd like to hear more about all of that at some point. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. So just to make sure I have this right, Eric, you want to know what information the administration is collecting from LMS, what information the LMS provider is collecting from.
Yeah, what kinds of tools are on the backside of this that we never see?
Yeah.
Because there are some, and there are a good number of them, and that's partly why this is marketed the way that it's marketed. But we don't ever get to see what those are. And I'd be very curious to sort of get to peek into the box. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. I know that some concerns about privacy have been raised as well by some faculty. And I do know that one of the things that is on our radar as things to think about is the ways in which information can be pulled from Blackboard and synthesized into Banner, and will allow the administration to kind of sketch a fuller data picture of our students and their progress, right? But the extent of that, I think, is something that we should be interested in for sure. Do you have that note too, sir? Yeah. Taylor? All right, thank you for your time. Thanks, Mark. Okay, moving on. The next item on the agenda was a report from Faculty Advisory Committee, but really that's sort of a joint report from Faculty Advisory and Senate Steering, and so I'm going to take care of presenting that if FAC has no objections to that. Well, actually, let me start with one that's specifically a steering-related issue, and then I'll move on to the one that's joint from FAC and Steering. As you'll see there in the agenda, there is a scheduling problem with the June 5th summer meeting this year. We had this room originally, but subsequent to our scheduling the room, new student orientation requested the use of the room, and they are one of the few organizations on campus that trump us in terms of using a room. So for that reason, I'd like to propose that we shift the meeting time, so we still keep the meeting on the 5th, but shift it to the morning of the 5th, which would be 10 a.m. The room is available, the theater. And I am requesting that rescheduling of time, I guess, on behalf of the steering committee. So I don't think we need a second since it's coming from steering. Is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed? Okay, that passes. The second item, which I've projected up here, we brought to your attention back in the March meeting. We proposed, FAC and Steering working together, proposed a slight change to our Senate standing rules. This would be Rule 2 that governs meetings. And so what I have shown here on the left-hand column is the current language, which actually itself, it was amended back in October from the June version of the FM, but this is what's currently approved by the Senate. And on the right-hand column is what we proposed in March with the changes shown with strike through and red text. And just to kind of explain why what we've proposed here, or to provide a little bit of context and justification, what we're proposing is basically to schedule all of the faculty senate meetings between September and May. All right, this would eliminate the scheduled summer meeting, which we are going to still have for this June. So these rules would go into effect for next calendar. The reason for that is due to the fact that nearly all faculty are on 9-month appointments that end on May 15th. And it's always been problematic that we have a June meeting when people are, off doing other things for the summer and not on contract. It's also problematic from the sense of having a hard time getting quorum at the June meeting, which then raises the question of why are we having a meeting at all in June if we can't get a quorum based on the way we normally define quorum. In the past, we've handled this by saying the quorum for the June meeting is whoever shows up, which is not really a great way to run faculty governance. It's sort of ripe with opportunities to abuse that. And so this rule would get rid of the scheduled summer meeting. It would add, so yeah, this is maybe the downside for some folks. It would add 2 meetings to the schedule, one in January after we return, and then one in May. Okay, and that would allow us to complete all of the business that we normally have in the spring, which often consists of a lot of stuff, especially from the Courses and Curricula Committee, that does require approval throughout the entire spring semester. So that would be the change.
like there was something else I was going to say about that. Yes. Oh, one other clarification. Nothing in these changes prohibits the Senate from calling a special meeting if we need to. If we felt like something happened, like let's say externally to the university, at the legislature or whatever, that we needed to meet in the summer, we could still call that meeting and have that meeting. So this is not totally eliminating the option. It's simply saying we're not going to have a scheduled regular meeting in the summer as part of our standing rules. Okay. All right, so what you've seen on the right-hand side is the motion that's coming from steering, which doesn't require a second. So I'd like to open now the floor for discussion of this motion and also any amendments that anyone would like to offer.
Eric Robinson, School of Journalism. There's a contradiction in this. If you're going to have a meeting in January, it can't be the first or second Wednesday.
So currently in our tentative calendar for next year, I think we did actually pick second Wednesday in January. Do you recall? Back chair, I don't have that open in front of me, but yeah.
Well, if we come back on contract the 15th. We're actually on contract.
We're on contract through Christmas break. Yeah, technically we're on contract, and the semester starts before the second Wednesday.
I would suggest, however, that there be a provision in here allowing it to be held another day if necessary for contingencies and problem or COVID or something else.
Right. So one option, not to put words in your mouth for the amendment, but one option would be to let's see, where is that? I'm not seeing that. One option would be to put in a statement of something like, unless otherwise ordered by the steering committee or something of that nature.
Something. I mean, I'm being persnickety.
Yes. But. Yeah. So we could, again, not putting words in your mouth, but we actually have thought about this a little bit because we realized there were some problems with what we presented in March. One option could be to add in after September to May, to add in unless otherwise ordered by the Senate steering committee, which would then allow them to move the meeting anywhere they needed to.
I can agree with that.
Okay.
Fine.
Yeah. Again, feel free to change it if you want. I know this seems like a little.
I'm a lawyer. I'm being persnickety.
Okay. Sorry. No, you're right. I mean, we did consider this a bit. So that's been now. I think we have a motion to amend by adding after May in the current version the phrase unless otherwise ordered by the Senate steering committee. Is there a second for the amendment? Okay. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. All those opposed? Okay, that amendment passes. All right, so now moving back to the amended statement, is there any further discussion or amendments to the amended statement? Eric, okay. Okay, all those in favor of the amended motion signify by aye. All those opposed, like sign. All right, the motion passes. All right, at this time, I'd like to move on to what I consider the main event, which is the election of the new Senate chair-elect. What I've asked the two candidates today, let me pull their bios up real quick. The bios are available, but at least you can kind of put a face with the name here. We have two very strong candidates for the position, which I was really thankful to both candidates for agreeing to run. There's nothing worse for democracy than an uncontested election, I think, so that's good. I'd like each candidate to come and just briefly address the Senate, tell them a little bit about themselves and what their experiences and what their plans are for the day, which is soon coming when they will take over as Senate chair and put me out to pasture. And so I think I'll just start alphabetically, even though I know our bios are in reverse alphabetical order, and ask Susan Bond to approach and address us.
Hi, and thank you for this opportunity. I'm going to be relatively brief, just because one, I am honored just to get this phone call, but I will also be honest that I suspect that given the nature of this position and I think the opportunity that comes with it, I really am delighted to be running against somebody who's so wonderful and so very well suited. So I think you have truly a genuine choice here, but I do believe that my colleague is very well suited for this position. So thank you for your consideration and for the opportunity to share my interest in serving as the next chair of the Faculty Senate. This role represents an opportunity to pursue the greater good on behalf of faculty and the academic community of South Carolina. I've been in higher education for 27 years, and you'll have to forgive me, I have a terrible allergy. So I'm trying to get the words out so that you can actually hear them. So after 27 years in higher education, the past 10 serving here at the University of South Carolina, I've had a wide range of leadership opportunities and experiences, and truly been genuinely joyful in my service in higher education and pursuing the good of academic service. I think of this important role and responsibility, and I do believe whoever takes on this responsibility must earnestly pursue some very non-negotiable values and hopefully diligently take on the academic quality and excellence that are the hallmarks of what we do as academics. First of the principles that I'd like to go through and the ideals are that Faculty Senate is a critical partner and has shared responsibility for academic excellence. It is our responsibility as faculty to guard the academic tradition with astute care and keen attention. Our purpose, foremost, is to promote an educational environment that's marked by excellence and aligned with the essential values of integrity, respect for human dignity, and the consistently clear promise of opportunity and belonging for all. As faculty, we are the pursuers of knowledge. We do this through our research and we share it in our teaching. We are the educators. We guarantee high quality instruction. We mentor, we guide our colleagues and our students. They are striving to become better versions of themselves through learning and growing, both personally and professionally, and we are honored to be a part of that journey. Above all, we are the academic specialists. We are the ones with the skills, the knowledge, and the passion for our science, and that drives us to pursue and shape a rich, diverse, transformational, and engaging educational environment. We cannot, however, accomplish this important goal without the work and collaboration with our administration at the university. So if we want to achieve our individual and our collective institutional commitments to these ideals, namely, I'll repeat them, a diversity-rich, transformational, and engaging educational environment, if we want to do this, we must come to the table and collaborate and work and be a part of the conversation, the discussions, and the decisions that are made as part of an institution. If we fail in our efforts to collaborate, shared governance is not working as it should. It is incumbent on us to proactively and thoughtfully accept our responsibilities as faculty to pursue academic excellence, and to that end, to engage thoughtfully in deliberation as an academic community. That means thoughtfully deliberating with one another as well as with the administrators that we work with. This is especially important when academic ideals and non-negotiable values are at risk. Transparency and respectful communication are the linchpins of meaningful collaboration. And as such, I would, and I hope that any who would serve in this role would commit to fostering relationships among faculty and the university administrators. Finally, if it's me, or hopefully if it's Liam, or anybody else who enters into this role, I would ask that they commit to work with a humble spirit and a kind heart, and to exemplify our values and our ideals. Finally, I would hope that we would all be and feel empowered collectively to commit to fundamental principles that define our academic community specifically, and I like to repeat things, excellence, an unwavering commitment to a diversity-rich, transformational, and engaging educational environment. And thank you so much.
Next candidate is Liam Hine.
Good afternoon. I'm Liam Hine. I'm a tenured associate professor in the College of Nursing. I've been faculty at USC for 17 years and was adjunct faculty at 2 other universities before coming to USC. I've been involved in university level governance for 7 years. My experience has been with 5 Senate affiliated committees and non-Senate service such as judicial affairs and 5 years on the IRB. I haven't just served on committees. I've chaired the Faculty Advisory Committee and Faculty Welfare. I'm also a senator, and I know many of you. I have leadership experience in my college, directing our pre-doc to faculty pipeline program. I've chaired college-level governance committees, as well as our college faculty council, which comprises over 80 full-time faculty. Additionally, I've completed 2 fellowships, served on 2 national interprofessional boards of directors over 8 years, and served as vice president on one of those boards. I've been inducted as a fellow in nursing's highest academy. I tell you this to show I'm capable of leading effectively, both interprofessionally, at multiple levels, and at our university. I'm here today because I made an informed decision to run for faculty senate chair. I chose the opportunity to serve this body and this university, even if it's at the cost of delaying my progression to the rank of professor. I've made an informed decision to run for Senate chair. And I ask that you please vote based on whether I have the experience with Senate governance and the professional leadership experience and skills to effectively lead this body. I believe everyone in this room values shared governance, democratic processes, fairness, and a culture of collegiality, or you wouldn't serve on the Senate. I believe in the important work done by both tenure and professional track faculty, and that each should have a voice. As chair of Faculty Senate, I will endeavor to continue the Senate and AUP's work to defend shared governance, represent the faculty's values and interests, and ensure the faculty perspective is considered before important governance decisions are made by the president, provost, or board of trustees. As faculty welfare chair on steering and a member of the president's advisory committee, I currently meet with our administration as often as 3 times a month, and I would strive to enhance those relationships. And I'm not naive. We won't get everything that we want from the board, from administration, or certainly from the legislature. However, shared governance means we have input and we have a role in checks and balances. The faculty manual charges the Senate with co-governance over academic matters at USC. I envision Senate and governance committees considering where we would like the university to go and who we want to be as a university. The university vision statement says, "Our students change the world for the better." I think the same can be said for all of us. You are here involved and committed to the success of your students and the university. We're an R1, but I'd also like us to consider what our niche and unique draw is to undergraduate students beyond a research experience, and how we effectively show return on investment to those students and the parents funding them. I challenge us as a Senate and through our governance committees to think about what we can do and offer in our own colleges and departments to, number one, create innovative offerings, such as the unique and recently created undergraduate certificates, experiential learning opportunities, and unique modalities of providing education. 2, partnerships with industry and community organizations. And 3, to better communicate what it is we do. And particularly what it is we do and how it helps our students develop as a person, a global citizen, and future employees. And I say that last one last because I think the other two are more important: as a person, as a global citizen, and lastly, as an employee. And I thank you for considering me as your possible next Senate Chair.
Great. Well, I wanted to thank Susan and Liam again for agreeing to run. I think we all know this is not necessarily an easy position to hold. It can be rewarding. It can be a lot of work, but it can also be pretty tough sometimes. So again, thank you both for agreeing to run. I think regardless of the choice that you make today, we have 2 outstanding candidates, and I feel completely comfortable leaving the Senate in the hands of either one. So I think we have a great decision today. At this time, I'd like to ask the Secretary, the parliamentarian, if he doesn't mind, and maybe do you need a couple of volunteers to help with handing out ballots? Okay, looks like no stuffing the ballot box, Marianne. I know what you're asking. So these are anonymous. We hope to collect and count them today and be able to announce the decision before we leave. So we're going to do our best. For that small handful of senators who are viewing this online and have received an electronic ballot, please complete that at this time if you've not already done so, and we'll make sure your votes are also tallied. Hold it, I will put it in the envelope. Hold it and
Got this one started.
Any more ballots to be handed in? Please pass them out. Okay, so while that vote is being counted, I'll just move along with a few other items. We had under new business that there would be a slate of nominees to fill committee vacancies. This refers to a few faculty who withdrew their names from the ballot, unfortunately, after we voted them in. But once we contacted them to let them know they had been voted in, they withdrew their names from the slate that we voted on in March. So definitely by the June meeting, I will have, it's only a handful from the standing committees that we voted in last time. I'll have replacements for all of those positions. I have a couple already, but I wanted to have all of them for just one slate so we can get that taken care of. But unfortunately, I do not have that ready at this moment. Still waiting to hear back from some folks. Okay, so I'll move on to good of the order. Is there anything for the good of the order? Okay, we have several things. Exciting good of the order day.
No, I don't have anything for the good either. I have a question.
And you are? Sorry.
I'm Eric Dockstetter from English. Could you talk a little bit about this meeting on April 12th with the workforce development manager from the CHE and curriculum alignment? I'd like to know more about what that's
right
about.
And I think you're referring to, and Mark, I think, is in the loop on this meeting too, right? With Trina and so this is, gosh, I know I'm going to mangle describing exactly what it is, but basically the CHE is coming down to talk to the university about the CHE's goals, I guess, for aligning curriculum with workforce development. We've been invited to attend that meeting, we meaning at least Mark and I. And Mark, can you clarify? I think there might have been, I wasn't prepared for this question, obviously, I apologize. Can you clarify if there were some other faculty senate or faculty representatives invited to that? You recall? It was from Trina. I think Trina is who we were communicating with about this, right? If I remember correctly. I did. That's right. Thank you for reminding me. I apologize. I was in the ER this morning with my daughter for several hours, so I'm a little bit out there. Yes, you're right. I did send the link out to the senators. I believe we're all invited to attend online. So yeah, thank you, Eric, for reminding me about that. What to say about this meeting? I don't know exactly what will be discussed at the meeting. Well, I shouldn't say that. If you go to the CHE website, they have lists of recommendations and strategic plans and all this sort of thing posted on the website. My very in sort of informal opinion is that a lot of this is very much still in flux. Also, that perhaps some of the things that we're hearing coming out of CHE aren't totally in alignment with what the legislature is thinking. Again, this is just sort of my opinion, not any kind of official statement. So I think the purpose of inviting us to this meeting was so that we could get more information and hear what they have to say, and also observe, the administration's response to it kind of as it's happening, rather than hearing about it after the fact. Mark, do you have anything to add to that? Because I know you were sort of on that email chain at least, or in the was it an InDev meeting where this came up? I'm trying to recall now the details.
Yeah, Mark Minette, Faculty Center from English and Chair of InDev. My understanding is that there's a state level, apart from the Commission on Higher Education, there's a state level kind of task force on workforce preparedness that's engaging with the Commission on Higher Education. And they have some recommendations and that they want to share with us. So that's my understanding. I mean, I would, if you're on the invitation list or you've received a link to it, I would highly encourage you to attend to see what the plans are, and whether they, to the degree to which they correspond with our principles and values and our plans as well.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for bringing it up again, Eric. I probably should have had it on the agenda to remind people about that meeting, but I think that I did send a link to all the senators, and you can feel free to distribute that to other faculty members in your unit who you think might want to attend that meeting. Anything else for the good of the order?
Trey Franklin, Biology, Department of Biological Sciences. As you may know, South Carolina enacted a new constitutional carry law on March 7th, 2024. Several colleagues have asked me questions relating to how this new law impacts us here on the university campus. Although the prohibition of citizens to carry firearms inside state buildings has not changed, other details regarding where on campus individuals are allowed to carry may have. Given the recent implementation of this law, the confusion I've witnessed in conversations with other faculty members, and the importance of the safety of our students, faculty, staff, and other USC community members, I ask that the upper administration and other appropriate entities within the university provide an official statement or policy and perhaps situational guidelines to help us navigate these changes safely. And lastly, I also ask faculty senators to address your colleagues, requesting questions to bring up again in a future meeting when this is discussed.
Okay, thank you. And I will mention that Trey brought this to my attention this week, and I have now invited the USC Chief of Police to attend our June 5th meeting to specifically talk about this and how the university is going to handle implementation of this new law. I realize that not everyone will be able to attend that meeting. I'm perfectly happy to gather questions that people might have. If you want to send them to me as the Senate chair, I'll make sure they get asked at that meeting. And of course, all the responses will be in our minutes and in our recording of that meeting. But that is sort of the best I could do on short notice, was to get in here for the June 5th meeting. Any other questions or discussions about this, or is this a new good of the order topic?
This is a new good of the order.
Okay. I guess this is just a good of the order point. So just to point that out, we will have the Chief of Police here on June 5th. So, Mark?
So I actually had two. Sorry, Mark Manette, Faculty Center from English. One is, could you just restate for everybody if you have it in mind, the date, time, and place for the general faculty meeting, which is April 24th?
Yes, it is April 24th at 3 o'clock. Typically, it's held in the Koger Center, but I'm not sure if I don't know if a location I'm sure it has been scheduled, but I haven't been notified yet about the location, but I'll try to get that information.
Yeah, and I would just encourage everyone to attend. Turnout is usually fairly sparse, unfortunately, but there is important work, and it ratifies the decisions that we made as a Senate there. So it's an important place for all faculty to attend.
Yeah. I agree. Thanks for pointing that out. It is true that what we pass here at the Senate, any faculty manual language that we pass here at the Senate, changes to that, has to be approved at the general faculty meeting before it goes to the board. So it is an important step in that process.
Okay, and then my separate, and this is from my role as the chapter president for the AUP chapter here at the University of South Carolina, Columbia, is I wanted to let everybody know that there will be a chapter meeting on Friday, April 19th from 2 to 3. It will be held on Zoom. If you reach out to me, I can provide you with the Zoom link. At that meeting, we're going to be discussing some of the work that the AUP chapter has done over the year, get a sense of people's concerns and the challenges that currently face us as faculty and higher education more generally. We'll also need to elect a new secretary for the chapter and an at-large member for the chapter. So if anyone is interested in those positions and learning more about what that might entail and learning more about the AUP, I encourage you to reach out to me. You can reach me through my sc.edu email address. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for your time.
Okay. Anything else for the good of the order? Okay, before we adjourn, I just want to see where we stand with the vote count. 2 minutes, one more. Okay, we're nearly there. Two reminders, as Mark just mentioned, the general faculty meeting is on April 24th. It's also a Wednesday, 3 o'clock. And the final reminder that as we approved just a few moments ago, the June 5th meeting is now scheduled for 10 a.m. It'll still be here in the Russell House. Of course, I'll send out the agenda ahead of time, which has all the information on it. Okay, and if you just give us a moment, we'll hopefully have the tally done.
Yeah, well, he's definitely. He's definitely.
Yeah, I got you. I appreciate that. Okay, we have the results of the election. Receiving a majority of the votes cast was Liam Hine. So congratulations or my condolences. I'm not sure which is appropriate. Little bit of both. I would like again to thank Susan and Liam both for agreeing to run. As I said, I think we would have been in great shape with either candidate. So, but I'm happy that we now have Liam. We can move forward. I can start training you. I have a very thorough training program set up, ready to go. Just you've seen the old Rocky movies, you should go back and look at those. Okay. All right. At this time, nothing else to come before the Senate. I'll adjourn the meeting.